Oh my God, it's World War III. Israel and Iran are going at it again, and this time this war is going to drag America in. It's Armageddon. President Donald Trump is the Antichrist, and this is the end of the world. Okay, take a chill pill, all right? I'm going to explain why it's not World War III right now on American Advocates. Have you ever heard of the carrot and the stick? It's a principle often described using a donkey, where the donkey is stubborn, doesn't want to move, you're riding it, you need it to move. What do? You can either offer it the carrot and incentivize it to move with a treat, or if it doesn't listen, you can offer it the stick, aka whoopsh. You can crack at it and force it to move in the direction that you want it to go. This is what we're actually witnessing happening right now when it comes to Israel, Iran, and President Donald Trump in America. You see, the ultimate backstory behind all of this, obviously, is that Iran is enriching their uranium. They've achieved somewhere around 60% enrichment, from what I believe. Not enough to be considered a danger yet. It's not weaponized. It can't be used for a nuclear weapon. However, that was Iran's ultimate goal. They were trying to obtain nuclear power. And why is this a bad thing? Well, because Iran not only hates Israel, referring to Israel as the little Satan, but Iran also hates America and Western values and culture as well. They, in fact, refer to America as the Great Satan. So for Iran to have developed nuclear power would be a massive threat. So essentially, in the story of the carrot, the stick, and the donkey, Iran is currently, right now, the donkey. And we have two nations that are trying to work with Iran, with Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, kind of acting as the stick, in all honesty. And then we have America, and we have President Donald Trump. And very fittingly, considering a lot of people call President Donald Trump the Orange Man, President Donald Trump has been the carrot overall when it comes to interacting with Iran and their enrichment of uranium in pursuit of nuclear power. And that's because at the end of the day, President Donald Trump truthfully is for peace, and he is truly against war. He's campaigned on that, and he realizes that that's a large portion of what his MAGA base wants. So President Donald Trump, acting as the carrot, has reached out to Iran for many, many weeks now, months even, about ceasing the enrichment of uranium and about how they could never be allowed to have a nuclear weapon. He's made constant attempts to create deals with them. And in fact, after his tour in the Middle East, where he managed to obtain trillions of dollars in investments from the Saudis, he announced that there was a deal on the table between America and Iran.
We're in very serious negotiations with Iran for long-term peace. And if we do that, it'll be fantastic.
Now, the unfortunate part about President Donald Trump and why he's so misunderstood by a lot of people is they've never read The Art of the Deal. But one of the main concepts when it comes to the art of the deal is to impose deadlines. As you can see here in The Art of the Deal, you have to create urgency. Trump often employs strategies like setting tight deadlines or presenting offers as limited time only to force quicker decisions and prevent overthinking from the other side. Deadlines are seen as a powerful negotiation tactic to create pressure and potentially lead to concessions. Why is this important? Because that's exactly what President Donald Trump did with Iran when attempting to make this nuclear deal with them. He imposed a 60-day deadline where they needed to stop enriching uranium within those 60 days. And of course, all the while, he was constantly reminding them, truthfully, of what their only options were.
We have two courses. There's only two courses. There aren't 3 or 4 or 5. There's 2. There's a friendly and a non-friendly. And the non-friendly is a violent course, and I don't want that. I'll say it up front. I don't want that. But they have to get moving.
They really only had 2 choices. And President Donald Trump was, in good faith, offering them peace, the best possible choice, essentially, while continuing to, of course, remind them that the alternative was not a pleasant one, alongside, of course, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who also was reminding them on the airwaves of this as well.
He says this offer won't be around forever. And what he means by that is, at some point, decisions will have to be made about more maximum pressure and other options, because Iran can never have a nuclear weapon.
Unfortunately for Iran, they of course wound up making the worst decision possible, ultimately deciding to reject President Donald Trump's nuclear deal and continuing to enrich their uranium, progressing towards obtaining nuclear power. And this once again comes back to the power of deadlines. You see, on day 61, the first day past President Donald Trump's 60-day deadline, the stick was introduced. In comes Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel, who launches an incredibly successful bombing on Iran, targeting much of their military with incredible precision, inflicting a serious wound on the country and Iran's military as a whole. The carrot was no longer working, so the stick needed to be introduced. President Donald Trump, of course, then took to Truth Social immediately afterwards to state this: the U.S. had nothing to do with the attack on Iran tonight. If we are attacked in any way, shape, or form by Iran, the full strength and might of the U.S. armed forces will come down on you at levels never seen before. However, we can easily get a deal done between Iran and Israel and end this bloody conflict. So as you can see there with President Donald Trump, he didn't even take away the carrot, not even after the first strike on Iran from Israel. While Israel is overseas acting as the stick against Iran, President Donald Trump now has of course pulled out the stick because his carrot's not working. But President Donald Trump is still holding out a carrot for Iran to take despite everything that's transpired. He then would go on Truth Social to state, Iran should have signed the deal. I told them to sign. What a shame and waste of human life. Simply stated, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I said it over and over again. And despite all of this, despite President Donald Trump offering them a way out with the carrot still in hand, Iran remains defiant. This is a speech from just a day ago from the Iran Supreme Leader.
مطلب آخر هم این که اخیراً رئیس جمهور آمریکا زبان به تهدید گشوده. ما رو تهدید میکنه. هم تهدید میکنه، هم با یک بیان سخیف و غیر قابل قبولی از ملت ایران صریحاً میخواد که بیایید تسلیم من بشید. وقتی انسان این چیزها رو مشاهده میکنه واقعا تعجب میکنه. اولا تهدید رو به کسی بکنن که از تهدید اونها میترسه. ملت ایران نشان داده که در مقابل تهدید کنندگان دچار ترس نمیشه و لا تهینوا و لا تحزنوا و انتم الاعلون ان کنتم مؤمنین. این رو بهش ملت ایران معتقده. تهدید تأثیر نمیگذاره در رفتار ملت ایران، در اندیشه ملت ایران.
Iran has only ever had two total options. Before this, they only had two options. Either continue enriching their uranium and face the consequences like they're facing now, or to stop enriching uranium and accept the fact that the world would never permit for them to have nuclear power. They, of course, chose the stubborn path. Now, Iran also only has, truthfully, two options. Now that this conflict has started, their only two options are to surrender, as President Donald Trump has advised, or to continue trying to fight this, which they are hopelessly outmatched on. And the whole reason I'm showing this is because what we have currently going on right now are people insisting that President Donald Trump has fallen for it. They're claiming that this is 2004 Israel false intel all over again with George Bush, who was suckered into going to war against Iraq over false nuclear intel. This is not what's happening. President Donald Trump is actually remarkably in tune with his main MAGA voter base. On top of that, what we cannot have is Iran developing a nuclear weapon. This is for the best. We are not about to be entering a World War III scenario like some people insist we are, because Iran doesn't have the capabilities to last that long in war. And yes, they're allied with China and Russia, but do you know what happened when they faced these strikes? They reached out to China and Russia and called upon their alliances with them and were essentially told, yeah, you better make peace with America. You better find a way to start negotiations. This looks really bad. Russia and China are not coming to Iran's aid. That alliance fell through as expected. Furthermore, President Donald Trump posted this on Truth Social. We know exactly where the so-called Supreme Leader is hiding. He is an easy target, but he's safe there. We are not going to take him out, at least not for now. But we don't want missiles shot at civilians or American soldiers. Our patience is wearing thin. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And indeed, we do know where he's hiding, because Israel has complete control over the skies in their own country of Iran. And all you need for proof of this matter is this right here. This is a photographic hierarchical list of all of the people in the Iranian military who have been taken out in precision strikes from Israel. They're almost all gone. They have nothing left. And in response to Israel's initial strikes, Iran launched like 100 missiles the next night, trying to decimate Israel. And Israel's Iron Dome was stopping 75–80% of those missiles. So they failed. Not only did they fail, they depleted their armaments already. Iran not only has practically nothing left, but all of their military leaders have been taken out, and their supreme leader is hiding underground in a cave while trying to claim that they're not scared. This will not be World War III for a multitude of reasons, but the main reason is Iran simply can't afford it. Iran is in no position to wage such war. They don't have the strength to carry on like that. Furthermore, the carrot and stick analogy that I've been explaining all throughout this video is what I want everyone to understand. Trump is not being suckered in to another Middle Eastern war. Trump is incredibly strategically using Israel as the stick to deal with a problem that needed to be dealt with all along. What President Donald Trump is doing is supporting Israel while Israel acts as the stick. It's genius. All the while on social media, Trump keeps holding out the carrot. Hey, Iran, this can end anytime you want. You have to surrender now, and you have to make peace, and you have to accept the idea that you're never going to have nuclear power. But Trump dangles that carrot. Iran may never accept it, and if they don't, and if they continue to make threats against America and Israel, and if they continue to try to enrich their uranium and try to push for nuclear power, then the B-2s are going to be paying a visit, and America will get involved to some degree. But it's not going to be a war. Boots on the ground likely won't be needed. That's my thought process on all of this. That's why I've made this video, because people are insisting this is World War III, that Trump's a moron, it's 2004 all over again, and here we go again, another 20-year war in the Middle East with tons of casualties of American soldiers. I don't see it happening that way. I think at the end of the day, if the Iranian supreme leader does not yield to the rest of the world's demands when it comes to them never having nuclear power, then a regime change will take place, meaning ultimately the Iranian supreme leader will be replaced with one who's more agreeable. But what are your thoughts and opinions on all of this? Is this World War III? Am I completely wrong? Is Trump a moron? Is he being suckered into another expensive decade-long or 2-decade-long Middle Eastern war? Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and subscribe to American Advocates for more content like this. Thanks for watching.